It's all part to weaken those countries, okay? So that corporations can go in
Sure.
and take. That's what it's all about. It's not about defending this country.
I didn't hear you talking about that, though. That's, I think, the more important point. You seem to be selling out people's ability to join a national self-defense force voluntarily. You seem to be talking about
maybe
doing away with it entirely.
No, I'm not talking about doing away. No, you need a military for defense.
I think that's the point to focus on. Is your website says capitalist imperialism in foreign countries,
and that's what we fight against.
We're going to be at increased risk when we put ourselves in those situations of soldiers getting hurt, of soldiers having traumatic incidents. But I don't think you can say it goes away, any of that goes away when you have simply a self-defense force.
No.
Because you're going to be attacked, and you're going to find yourself in those same situations, only now you're fighting in your own neighborhoods instead of someone else's.
Well, let me think about my response. If you look at the countries that have been attacked, and who they've been attacked by, and the reasons why they've been attacked. It's because of something that can be gained, okay? If this government was truly concerned about world peace, they would look at countries that have nuclear weapons that don't claim they have nuclear weapons. Okay, instead of attacking countries that are defenseless, I mean, the countries that we've attacked did not have nuclear weapons.
Sure.
They weren't a threat. They were a country of oppressed people, either by our country or this country already, or other countries. And the powers that be wanted to get our foot in there so the corporations from here can gain from that.
Right, and I understand that if you're not sticking your nose in other people's business, they won't come looking for you for retribution. But even if everything turned around this fall, you're not going to get over the hundreds of years of hurt feelings that are already in place. Even
right.
if we changed our entire attitude this year, there are still people that are going to come looking.
And there are always going to be people that are going to come looking, but it would also show that the people here don't want to oppress other people.
Sure, sure.
Okay, we don't want to waste $1.2 billion every 2 days on death and destruction on another people's culture.
Right, right.
Okay? It would show that, and that would not, there would not be a base for groups to take up arms. I mean, if I was a child and somebody attacked my neighborhood, killed my parents or my family, and I watched that happen, and I recognized the uniform, they had a flag or whatever, could I grow up to love that or accept that? No. I would grow up to seeing that face of oppression, and that's all I would see. So our first step is to pull our troops out of there, and then we have to make good on the damage we've done. We have to pay back to these countries the damage we've done, and we can't pay back to the countries by giving to contractors that are American countries.
Right.
Like what's going on now. They say, oh, you know, I hear people talk about, oh, we're giving money to Iraq to rebuild Iraq. No, we're giving money to U.S. contractors. They're taking the money, saying they're rebuilding Iraq, but there's no rebuilding of Iraq going on.
Right.
You know, and that's what we need to do. If we're going to rebuild, you know, give money to rebuild Iraq, then we need to give it to the Iraqi people and let them rebuild their country that this government destroyed. And, you know, it would be a start. We certainly can't continue on like this.
So that raises one of the concerns that I've heard brought up before is, do you set up a U.S. government program for the Iraqi and Afghan people to come ask for money directly, or do you give it to the native government to distribute?
Well,
because the concern in Afghanistan is there's so much corruption in the government it never makes it to the people.
Right.
But then it's up to the people to fix their government. the PSL believes in the right to self-determination of all countries. And that does not mean we support a certain country or what they stand for, but we support that the people's right of that country to decide what's best for their country. We have no business trying to force our beliefs or our culture on a different society.
But you recognize then that if someone's in an oppressive culture, it may be a long time and a lot of suffering before they have the ability to rise up against that oppressive government.
Absolutely.
So we leave them in suffering.
But we're creating more suffering. Army troops, you're not going to relieve suffering or oppression by sending military troops with tanks and guns and bombs and weapons.
No, but I hear you saying stay out of their business entirely. Give them money and let them decide what they want to do with it.
We have to do something to make up for the damage we've done. I mean, we've destroyed 2,000 years of culture in Iraq. I mean, there are museums, and they had...
But there's the logistic question of how do you fund, how do you distribute, how do you support local businesses and bypass the local corrupt officials who would pocket the money?
Well, because the people themselves will have to make good. I mean, by not believing that they can do it is kind of...
So you give the money to the corrupt officials and hope that eventually
the
people will rise up.
We give money to the corrupt officials here.
Yeah, but...
And we're trying to get people to rise up here. My point is, we can't...
It's a lot of high ideal, but I don't hear logistics. I don't hear how would you implement these great ideas.
Well, first of all, we have to take all our troops. It costs a lot of money to keep all the bases. We have 900 bases worldwide. That takes a lot of money to fund them. Okay, all that money could be used here.
Yeah.
Okay, for healthcare, education, and also money to help the countries we've destroyed rebuild. Okay, and by thinking that a foreign country with its own government, whether it's corrupt or not, will not be able to rebuild without the U.S. influence, I think is a very nationalist, it's a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like we're better.
Yeah.
No, it's like we're better. Oh, you can't do it. You don't know how to do it. You don't know how to rebuild your own country, so we're going to do it for you.
But generally, when you screw something up, you have a hand in fixing it, right? You don't just walk away and hope the people you've hurt can fix it on their own. I mean,
and you help them by providing
this is
them
the question.
By providing them the money to rebuild their own infrastructure. And
money is the answer. If you pump enough money into the country, the people will eventually rise up and take it.
No, you need to provide the money so that they have the means to rebuild the hospitals, the schools, the jobs, the infrastructure, the electrical companies, and all of that they need to have that infrastructure for a society to run. Yes, unfortunately, that is needed because it's a capitalist system right now. So you need that to rebuild it.
Money is greed. Once you put money into the system, their companies, instead of our companies, will be taking the money and not doing anything.
But you don't know that. You don't know that. You don't know what's going to happen in that country if they are given what they need to rebuild. There are people so desperate, they don't have a home, they don't have food because it's all been destroyed. I don't think that they're going to let it continue if they were given the power themselves to do it. I mean, that's like saying, you can't have money because you don't know how to spend it. I mean,
what I hear you saying is that eventually, if you put money in the hands of the people, the average person, they will spend it on their own behalf. Yes, they will help themselves. But if you put money into the existing political systems, the cronyism, the businesses that have kept those politicians in power, it's a mirror of our own society. If we can't do it here, how do we expect to pour money into another country and have it happen there?
We have to get completely out of the other countries. We have to let them decide for themselves what their government is going to be like.
Assuming they have the ability to make that decision.
And we need to Yes, but it's their country.